Okay, so another edition of Leading Ladies TV, and welcome to everybody who's viewing. I'm really excited today to interview a really great friend of mine, Kate Butler, best-selling author and success coach. So welcome to the show, Kate. Very nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's so happy to be here. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Amanda.
So Kate's going to share with us her story about how you become a best-selling author, because it's not always just as simple as we may think. So I'll just hand over to you, Kate, and say, share your story.
Thank you. Thank you. So I am the mother of two young children, two little girls, and after I had my children, I actually kind of went through a time in my life where I felt a little bit lost. I felt that there was something more out there for me. I felt like there was a purpose for me being here. And to be quite honest, I felt pretty guilty for having those feelings when I'm looking around at a beautiful home and two healthy, beautiful children, and a wonderful husband, and thinking, how could I want more than this? Like, isn't this enough for you, right? And so I started to experience all of these feelings of guilt, and I kind of tucked it away. After my first daughter was born, I tucked it away for a year and 2 years, and then my second daughter was born. And about 6 months after my second daughter was born, the voice came back so loud and so clear that I really couldn't ignore it anymore. And so I made a decision at that point to kind of start exploring, some of the passions that I had, and really start listening to this inner voice that was kind of bubbling up inside of me. The technique that I chose to start listening to that voice was meditating on a daily basis. And so when I started meditating, I would also in tandem journal all of the thoughts that I was feeling and experiencing during that meditation time. And very, very quickly and very early on in my meditation process, I was downloading all of this information. And it came to me one day that I wanted to write a book because I wanted to be able to teach my children some of the life lessons that I had learned and kind of save them some of the challenges and the struggles that I had learned along the way, right? And so I wrote this book, and it was, 12 chapters, and it was, this entire, long, kind of autobiography book. And I sent it off to my editor, and she said, this is great. She said, it doesn't really have an ending. It's more of a journal. And I said, that's pretty much exactly what it is. I said, I want it to be lessons. I don't want it to necessarily have an ending, right? It doesn't have an ending yet. And she's like, this is good. We can make this work. And when she said that to me, I thought, oh goodness, I don't want to put out anything that is going to, we're just going to kind of make it work. I don't want to put anything out unless, it's really at a level of excellence. And so that was a week before we went on a family vacation. And so we went on vacation and, watching my children play on the beaches of Aruba. And in that moment, I thought, why am I doing this? Why am I looking to bare my soul and put out this to the world? If this is just for my children, why am I doing this? And in that moment, it hit me, you should take the lessons from the book that you wrote and turn it into a children's book. And that is where my book, More Than Mud, came from. I took the lessons from the book that I had written and I turned it into a children's book to teach the children the power of a positive perspective. And so More Than Mud is a book about making muddy moments magical and teaching children the way to do that. And there were so many moments along the way, even after that clarity came to me, where I felt, gosh, what if no one reads it? Or worse yet, what if they read it and they hate it? You know what I mean? And so there were so many of those moments coming up. No one in my world had written a book, and no one in my world had kind of taken this path, this unknown path. So there was a lot of fear associated with it. But along with my meditation, I started doing some some wonderful success techniques, which, eventually allowed me to become a success coach and teach these principles to others. But some of the techniques that I did along the way, in addition to meditation, were the daily affirmations, right? And I was reprogramming the way that I thought about life. No one had ever done this before. So the world and the thought that I grew up with was different than the world that I was now choosing to be in. And so I had to kind of retrain my brain, if you will, right? And so the daily affirmations were something that really helped me do that. I'm a big vision board person. So I would take a vision and I would get a picture of what it was that I was looking to achieve. And I would put up the visual and I would look at it every day. And along with my meditations, I would visualize, kind of what this felt like, right? And what this looked like once I had achieved it. And, one of the last things that I did that was tremendously impactful for me was I would every day write, and this is something that I still do, a future gratitude wish list. So a lot of people have heard of creating a gratitude list. But what I do is I create a future gratitude list, and I put myself a year or 2 years or 3 years in the future, and I paint a picture of everything that I'm giving gratitude for in my life 3 years from now. And what does that look like for me? And so all of these things combined, kind of shifted my way of thinking, where when those thoughts of fear would come up, right, they would switch very easily, and they would start to come up less and less, right? And if they did come up, they went out of my subconscious very, very quickly, where I was able to really attract in the success and the life that I was looking to achieve. And so those principles are how I got to be a #1 best-selling author on Amazon, and how my book has had such, great success and has touched so many people, because it really, through the law of attraction, I've really been able to kind of create and really spread the word and my message out there to others.
I love this because we all have fears when we're moving forwards, and some brilliant tips there in terms of how you can get over them and battle through. And I know what you mean about, you do still kind of get these thoughts coming, would I, or what if this happens? But actually, when you're practicing some of those principles that you've shared with us, they just kind of drift on by. They're just a passing thought, which is fine. We can cope with passing thoughts. We don't hold on to them. So,
exactly.
Tell me, how does it feel to be a best-selling author? What happens what happens when you've made it in that way?
Yeah, so it feels amazing. It feels amazing, and it was such a tremendous feeling of accomplishment, and there was many tears shed of joy, once I reached that moment. But it was tears of gratitude for having achieved what I truly knew and already felt for so long that I knew I was going to achieve. And so it felt different than I expected it to, because I had been living that moment in my visualization for a year leading up to it, that when it actually happened, it just makes so much sense to me.
I remember seeing a photo that you sent me, which was you on top of all of the books in your garage that had been delivered, and you said that had been a picture that you'd been thinking of for years.
Yes, Elizabeth Gilbert is kind of like my author crush, if you will. She wrote Pray, Love, and many other wonderful books. And so she had put up a picture on social media of her standing on top of her new book. And it was pallets of books, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, that's going to be me. I'm going to be standing upon my pallets of books, right? So I put that picture up on my vision board. And the day that my books got delivered, I, had a picture of me standing on my pallets of books. And so I put them side by side and said, this is the power of a vision board, that literally, it was the exact same picture, except it was me. it was unbelievable when I put them side by side, but I think the main thing about the book getting out there and the message getting out is the feedback that I receive from parents about how my book has changed their perspective, right? It has enlightened them to embrace certain moments with their children. And a lot of parents will reach out and say, I know this is a children's book, but this is such a powerful message for parents as well. And thanking me for, kind of bearing my soul in that way and sharing, how we can look at life from a positive perspective and what a huge impact that can have not only on our lives, but on our children's lives. So I think that's been the main difference since my book's been out there is just the feeling of gratitude for being able to impact people's lives in that positive way.
Isn't it beautiful that people take the time and actually say thank you and tell you what they've enjoyed about the book? I mean, that's just beautiful. Yeah.
It's what keeps me going. It's really just such, it's a beautiful thing. That's the perfect word for it. That we can connect, in that way, people that I otherwise would not have come across, or crossed their path in my life unless I had done this. But that's what happens when we step into our power and we choose to fulfill our purpose. It opens up doors that if we stayed in our fear or if we stayed in our small world, right, the comfortable world, we wouldn't have those experiences. But when we stand in our power and we walk in our purpose, in that alignment, that beautiful alignment, that's when these beautiful interactions can happen because we have chosen to open up those doors. So it's really a wonderful thing.
Yeah. I think the thing that for me is that some of the things that are the big benefits are things that you wouldn't necessarily even know were going to be there. So when you take that first step of I'm going to write this book, you don't realise that the thing that's going to bring you is a letter from a parent saying how it's changed, their relationship with their children. I mean, that is just fabulous. A great testament to taking the first steps in the first place.
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah, I pictured children connecting with the book.
Yeah.
So it was wonderful when to see how much it had changed from the parental perspective as well. So that was a really beautiful gift.
Oh, Kate, thank you so much. I just feel like we've just had the most high energy. You've given us so much information, really clarified about how the power of like meditation, vision boards, and just being brave and taking the first steps. You've actually shown us how it can sort of lead to the end, leads to the fruition that you get in the end. So thanks so much for being on Leading Ladies TV. Really appreciate it. And there's another book coming?
Yes, More Than Magic. The second book in the More Than series will be out in the spring, and so I'll be updating along the way on my Facebook page, Kate Butler Books, and I also encourage anyone who has young children or is interested in writing a book. I'm very engaging with my audience on Facebook. I ask for opinions on, this color or that color or this drawing or that drawing. And so I actually encourage my fans to help build the story and build the book along the way. So it's something really fun and different, as far as social media pages go. But yes, the second book, More Than Magic, will be out in the spring. So check Facebook for the exact dates on that if you're interested. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, lovely. And I'll put that on the little writing below this if anybody didn't catch it. And I think I've even been asked and had my opinion on some of your book covers, so I do know how nice that feels to give an opinion. We're going to wrap this up for today and say thank you so much. Good luck with the launch of the next book, and once again, yes, thanks so much for being here. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, thanks, Kate.
Take care. Bye-bye.